The deep woods behind Havenwood were a sanctuary, a vast, whispering canvas of ancient oaks and silent pines. For me, Ethan, it was a pilgrimage, a place where the suffocating hum of modern life died, and the profound, humbling expanse of the night sky unveiled the Milky Way in all its swirling glory. My small, tight-knit town, barely 1,000 souls, meant true isolation was just a 3-hour trek north, past the shallow ponds and winding creeks, to a spot by the river I'd visited before but never camped. Today, that was the plan. The trek began with an almost sacred silence, broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth and the occasional distant call of a bird. No trails, no hikers, just me and the raw, untamed wilderness. This solitude, usually a balm, held an odd tremor today, a subtle off-key note in the forest's symphony. A premonition, perhaps, that the sanctuary was about to reveal a different, more primal face. I was barely 45 minutes from the river, the air growing cooler, hinting at twilight, when I saw him. Not walking, not moving, just standing. There, amidst the thick, interwoven trees, as if he had grown out of the earth itself. He was broad-shouldered, indistinct in the dappled light, facing me. In this vast, empty expanse, the sudden silent presence of another human was a jarring anomaly. My pulse quickened, a nervous flutter in my chest. I expected a wave, a greeting, something. But he remained motionless, a dark silhouette against the pale green of the forest floor. Then, as I drew closer, the distance shrinking to a mere few yards, his head tilted almost imperceptibly. He saw me. His face, initially obscured, became clearer, and in that instant a cold knot formed in my stomach. His eyes, though shadowed, seemed to hold an unnatural stillness. Then a smile, not a friendly one, but something stretched, too wide, too thin, a nervous, unsettling rictus that didn't quite reach his eyes. Before I could even manage a choked greeting, he turned. Not a walk, but a rapid, almost animalistic scurry weaving between the trees, never looking back. Just gone. The silence that followed was heavier, laced with an unspoken question. Why the desperate flight? Why the utter lack of acknowledgement? It wasn't just odd, it felt wrong. It felt like he didn't want to be seen. Or perhaps worse, that he had already seen me, and that was enough. My mind, now hyper-aware, began to loop, gnawing at the bizarre encounter. Was it the isolation? Had I just witnessed something I shouldn't have? I pushed the unsettling encounter aside, or tried to. Arriving at the river, I found a flat spot, pitched my tent, and quickly built a fire. Its flickering warmth was meant to be a comfort, a beacon against the encroaching twilight. But tonight it felt fragile, a thin shield against the deepening shadows and the lingering unease that clung to me like the damp evening air. Hours passed. The stars began to puncture the velvet sky, the Milky Way a faint, ethereal smear. Usually, this was my favorite part, a moment of profound peace. Tonight, the vastness felt less comforting, more suffocating. The forest sounds, normally soothing, now seemed to hold a sinister edge. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hoot of an owl sent a jolt through me. Then it began. A distinct snap. Not a natural twig breaking under the weight of an animal, but a slow, deliberate crack. Just beyond the reach of the firelight behind my tent. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum against the sudden, oppressive silence that followed. I froze, every nerve ending screaming. I grabbed my heavy-duty flashlight, its cold metal a small comfort in my trembling hand. "Hello?" My voice was a choked whisper, barely audible over the thumping in my ears. Anyone there? No answer. Only the chilling absence of any sound from where I'd heard it. But the feeling persisted, a crawling sensation on my skin, the unmistakable prickle of being watched. The air grew perceptibly colder, carrying a faint musty odor, like damp earth and something vaguely metallic. A trickle of sweat ran down my spine despite the chill. Was it real? Or was my isolated mind playing tricks, conjuring shadows from the depths of my own growing paranoia? The man from earlier resurfaced in my thoughts. He was real. That unsettling smile, that unnatural haste, a desperate need to confirm, to confront the source of my terror, propelled me forward. I rose, flashlight beam cutting a shaky swathe through the deepening gloom, each step an agonizing deliberation. I moved towards where I'd heard the sound, pushing through the tangled undergrowth, straining my ears. And then, the whispers. Faint, disembodied, like wind sighing through dry leaves, but with a strange, sibilant quality that seemed to brush against my name. Ethan. Was it my imagination? Had the solitude finally fractured my mind? My breath hitched. The beam of my flashlight sweeping through the trees suddenly caught him, standing perfectly still, less than 20 feet away. The same man. His eyes, unblinking, reflected the light back as dead chips of obsidian. No expression on his face, no movement from his body. Just there. Like a statue carved from the very shadows, watching me. Pure, unadulterated primal terror seized me. This wasn't a lost hiker. This wasn't paranoia. This was something else entirely. My rational mind screamed for an explanation, but my instinct shrieked, "Danger!" He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stared. His presence a cold, tangible weight in the suffocating silence. The only sounds were the ragged gasps escaping my own throat and the frantic thrumming of my heart. Then, a slow, deliberate shift. A single step. Not running, not lunging, just a measured, silent advance. The calm, unnatural precision of it was far more terrifying than any rush. My world dissolved into a blur of raw instinct. I dropped the flashlight, its beam now a useless, panicked beacon on the forest floor. I turned and ran, not thinking, just fleeing. Branches tore at my face, roots clawed at my ankles, but I didn't register the pain. My lungs burned, my muscles screamed, but I pushed harder. I ran until the world spun, until the last vestige of coherent thought vanished, replaced by an animalistic drive for survival. I didn't hear him behind me, but the absence of sound was worse. It meant he was there, silent, relentless. I ran until my legs gave out, until I collapsed, gasping, deep within a thicket of thorns and tangled vines, miles from my abandoned camp. I lay there, shivering, every shadow a lurking threat, every rustle a chilling whisper. My tent, my fire, my illusion of safety, all gone, a forgotten sacrifice to the terror that had consumed me. I stayed there, huddled, freezing, shaking uncontrollably, until the first faint gray light of dawn began to bleed through the dense canopy. I stumbled out of the woods hours later, a gaunt, haunted shadow of the man who had entered them. I never went back for my tent, my sleeping bag, or anything I'd left behind. The fear was too profound, too deeply ingrained. The solitude I once cherished now felt like a predatory void. The woods, once my sanctuary, became a place of silent, watchful dread. The man's unblinking eyes still haunt my nightmares, a silent, unsettling question. Was he human, or something else entirely? The chilling uncertainty gnaws at me, a permanent scar on my mind. This story makes you wonder, doesn't it? What truly happened out there? Was it a malevolent entity, a lost soul, or a manifestation of the primal fears that lurk in the darkest corners of our own minds? If you were Ethan, alone and vulnerable, would you have investigated those unsettling sounds, or would you have stayed huddled by the fire, hoping whatever was out there would simply pass by? Share your thoughts and tell me what you would have done in the comments below.